Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome, and once again, today we're going to take a look at something that I'm very certain that almost nobody knows about yet. This is going to be a new knife design coming from Knife Standards. And if you're not familiar with that name, I don't blame you. Knife Standards is a newer knife reviewer on YouTube, began a little bit over a year ago, and he's kind of finding his footing and starting to get his subscribership built up. And so I would suggest go over there and give him a follow, check out his content, see if you like it. He's gotten his hands on some pretty darn cool knives in the past year. But what he decided to do was go ahead and make his own knife design, get it produced by a really good quality OEM, and get these out for sale. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. This is the Knife Standards RR Standard. I'll just be calling it the double R. And these are going to be $385. The pre-order begins on July 8th with delivery in October, which I really dig that. He didn't just come out with the sketches and then do the pre-order and then place the order when all the money came in. So you're not having to wait 6, 10, 12 months. You're only waiting a couple months after your pre-order goes in. He's already got these ordered. They're already being made, and they're going to be delivering to him in October. So that was a pretty good way of him doing that. So let's get this case open. This is one of those really nice waterproof OtterBox style cases. Inside, he does provide a few stickers, one of which is the outline, the design of his knife, which I thought was pretty darn badass, actually. So we'll get the case out of the way for now. Really nicely done. I dig that. And this is going to be the knife. This is his prototype, but each individual knife will be numbered, which I thought was another interesting thing to do, especially for a first-time knife designer. I thought that was kind of a nice thought. Nice flush fit blade. And I'm going to tell you right now, I wasn't going to make this video. This isn't the typical wow me folder. It's a very basic shape. It's kind of oddly proportioned, and it has one of those paper clip style pocket clips that you guys know I hate. But think of a Chavez. Basic, blocky, square, simple, but it works, and it works well. It's got a solid feel, but it's just a simple, straightforward design, and that's exactly what this knife is. And I'll tell you right now, when I first received the package and I opened the box, I did not like the knife. Didn't like it. I saw how short the blade was in relation to the handle. That's a huge amount of room that the backspacer could have stopped here and the blade could have continued on. And you'll see that balance when the knife is open. And I went, oh man, I'm not going to be able to give this, a lot of positivity. And I've made that rule since I've become a knife maker that I'm not going to go out and do negative videos because I know how it impacts somebody's business. So I put it back in the box and brought it up to my office, my studio up here. And I emailed him back or messaged him back. I said, I'm going to make you a little private video so you can kind of hear my critiques and hear my thoughts on it. And we'll leave it at that. And he was totally cool with that, by the way, which I thought was nice as well. Then I pulled it back out as I was doing some photography on other knives, and I started playing with it. And I started feeling it. And I started holding it in the hand. And I started remembering all of those knives that have been popular over the years that are just a very basic straight body. And I went, you know what? It kind of works. And there is going to be an audience for this. I've never made my channel solely about what I like. Primarily, yes. Most of the knives in my videos have been in my personal collection, so obviously I like them. Most of the knives that I agree to review, if I'm going to review it and send it back to the maker, or I'm borrowing it from a friend or another collector and sending it back, I'm doing so because I'm personally interested, because I like the knife. And I realize, obviously, that there are a lot of varied tastes in the knife collector world. And there's going to be an audience for knives that I do. Like, I don't like green micarta. I don't like OD green micarta. It's not my thing. I have one knife in OD green G10, and what I wanted to order was the carbon fiber. But this was all that was left, and I had to have the knife because it was that great. So I dealt with it. But there are certain things I don't like. And a lot of other people absolutely love. So that pushed me to bring this out. Another part of what pushed me was the incredible story behind this knife. And I am going to share that with you after we get the specs and the overall knife thoughts out of it. Because I want you to stay tuned for the story, because it is important. And I want you to understand that that was another big reason that I'm doing this. It kind of touched my heart a little bit. A lot of people don't think I have one. It's kind of hard to get to it. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. So let's talk about the specs. Let's get this out of the way. And we'll put the specs right up over here. This is made by Best Tech. So as we know, Best Tech has been just knocking it out of the park with all of their production lately. Just incredible knives. And some of the most sought after knives on the market right now by various designers are being made by Best Tech. What we're looking at here is a titanium frame lock. The steel is going to be Magna Cut. He made a pretty good choice there. I'm pretty stoked for him on that. Overall length of 8 inches. Blade length will be 3.6 inches. With just about 3¼ inches or a hair less of the cutting edge because of the forward finger choil. Blade stock is 140 thousandths thick. You have a compound grind. I cannot speak today. I apologize. So your primary bevel will be hollow ground with your tip being flat, which will give you increased strength at the tip. Ceramic bearings, ceramic detent, captive hardware, which is all T8 hardware. Triplane frame design, and it's going to come in 3 different finishes. You'll be able to get what he calls the standard finish, which is this one, which is the bead blasted frame with the satin blade. There's going to be an all completely blacked out edition, and one that he is calling stone milled, but it's stone washed and milled, but I don't know what the milled pattern in the frame is going to be because I haven't seen pictures of that yet. But that is the 3 different variations that will be available. Let me get my thoughts out of the way and show you some close-ups before we get into the storytelling behind this knife. Here is the blade. Let's get you a nice close-up here. They did a really nice belt satin on all the bevels. Nice horizontal satin on the flats and ricasso. I'm not going to call that a hand rub satin, but it's a nice horizontal pattern. Feels like a pretty good edge on there as well. One of the things that I really love is the flat hardware on the show side. So each of these are captive. So they're notched or shaped in a way that when you're adjusting from the other side, these won't spin. So you don't need to try to figure out a way to hold this pivot while you're adjusting it. It is captive. And same thing for the hardware back here. Now, when I mentioned the triplane frame design, this is what I'm talking about. So you have 3 planes that are on here. And it's very easy to see where that inspiration came from. He does have some Vero engineering knives in his collection. Not exactly the same. I mean, obviously you can see where the bevels meet here. It is designed differently, but there is clear design inspiration there. Not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that was the first thing I saw, because before I saw it open, I saw it closed, and I'm like, that's a Vero knife. It looks like a Vero. Just with some different kind of shapes going on. And then on the back side, here is your frame lock. There's your pocket clip. Now, you guys know I have a thing against the paperclip style pocket clips. just because I look at a knife, if it's over $200, this is criminal to me. However, I know a lot of people do like these because they are flexible. They do work very, very well. Don't get me wrong. They work extraordinarily well. They've got great retention. They go in and out of the pocket very, very easily. They're just not attractive, and there's never been a pocket clip, a paper clip style pocket clip that's ever complemented any knife design ever made. It doesn't go well with anything. So that's just my thoughts. That's just the way it is. It is not reversible. It is only grooved to be on this side. So you're thinking, oh, I could just take the hardware out over here and flip it up. No, because you need those two notches in the frame to hold the clip in. But so it is right hand tip up carry only, which is fine. That is 99% or 95 probably percent of the buying market. But like I said before, even though it's not my particular style, especially with the overall visual balance with the blade having a rounded profile versus a very, very square body, a much shorter blade than handle, none of that design language jives with me, nor does the squared off plunge. However, as I said before, you go back to several other very, very successful knife designs. Again, I think of Ramon Chavez as one of them. And when you put this in your hand, you're immediately reminded of how those knives feel and how those knives perform. He's got a good blade stock on here. It's not too thick, not too thin, doesn't feel wimpy at all. He's got that reinforced tip, so it's going to have strength all the way through. The ceramic bearings make everything nice and smooth. It's not completely drop shutty like some people talk about, but it is so smooth it does drop under its own weight when you give it a couple of shakes. So yes, it's very, very smooth. The ceramic detent is crisp. It is perfectly tuned for a manual opener, and it would have been great as a flipper as well. I'd like to see him make a flipper variant in the future because it's got a phenomenal detent. The grinds are expertly done. Like I said, Best Tech has been knocking everything out of the park. Beautiful compound grind. It looks great, and it's going to perform great as well. When you choke up in that forward finger choil, it feels good. The whole knife, even though it doesn't look ergonomic, feels good. But it feels like a work knife. This is not going to be one of your luxury knives, one of your fancy knives, one of your knives that you pull out and go, look how gorgeous my new knife is. I'm not saying it's bad looking. It's just not a showpiece. It's nothing particularly fancy or different. What it is it's a really good work knife that you can carry every day. When we talk about everyday carry, we have to take into consideration weight. I know a lot of you need to know this, so we're going to bring it on out here. She's a hefty one, 5.1 ounces. Let's put it up against another 3.5-inch titanium frame lock. 4.3 ounces for the Nimble X. Considerable difference. Considerable difference. Another in the same size, 4.5 ounces. So keep in mind, it's going to be a bit hefty. For those of you that like a lot of heft in your knife, you are going to enjoy this. You really, really are. It feels really, really good on deployment. It really has a great feel and a great sound. Locks up like a bank vault. I mean, you can hear that thing. Very solid. So for those reasons, I think it's a pretty damn good deal, especially at $385. If this was $450 plus, again, you would not be seeing it out here on my channel, period, because I wouldn't be able to justify that price. I like the overall feel of it. When you put it in the hand, it feels like you're holding something of substance. And that is important for a knife that you're going to put to work. And this, I think, is going to be a knife that you put to work. So here's the story behind the knife design, which I feel was very important to get out. And he's described it on his Instagram. He's described it on his channel. Last year, he was talking with his dad about his review channel and how he reviews other companies' production knives, and he's starting to get into customs and semi-customs. And then he showed him a rough sketch of this design, the early version of this design. Not that he ever really planned on having it made, he just wanted to sketch out his own ideas and see where he went with his own design ideas. So he showed it to his dad, who immediately said, "It looks great. Stop worrying about other people's knives, because soon you're going to have your own knives to sell." And it's really important to have a supportive father like that, to have anybody in your life that's going to be supportive. And unfortunately, a few weeks later, after having that conversation, his father passed away. So this solidified his decision to seek out an OEM and produce this knife in honor of his father and the support that his father always gave him. Now, I'm somebody that lost my father when I was really young. I don't know how young or old Knife Standards is. And I remember every little thing about him. I remember the conversations that we had, as unimportant as each of those conversations may have been. I remember a lot about him. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. I still love him very much, but I've been without my dad for, 25 years, more, almost 30 years now. And it would have been really nice if my own father could have seen the things that I had done in my life, the family that I've raised, and the designs that I've done, whether it be my watch designs, the watch that I produced, obviously. And that was why I wore this today, because it reminded me of the success of having that very first thing that you designed that's all yours. I designed a lot of stuff for a lot of other people in the years previous to that, but that was my first that I designed for me, for my own manufacturing and my own company. And then starting to make my own knives and design my own knives. And I remember what that feels like. And it's been great having a support system around me and cheering me on and things like that. But it would have been really great if my own father could have seen that. And, he never got the chance. So that was another big reason I wanted to bring this out, because I understand, number one, I understand what it's like to be a first-time designer, making decisions that you're not going to make 10 years down the road. Certain things that, yes, I would absolutely change about this knife, but I really believe there's an audience for this. And I also know what it's like to design your own product and have somebody say, "Hey, I'm proud of you, and I think it's going to be great, and I don't care what anybody else says. I think you should follow your dream and do it." And that was pretty important to me. That's why I really wanted to come out here and do this. And I do believe that this design is going to find its audience. I do think it's well made. Obviously, Best Tech is just doing some phenomenal work. The blade should be, a quarter of an inch longer. I mean, you could see how it falls short of the blade to handle ratio. Absolutely could be larger. I do like the fact that, like a Quaken, that blade disappears into the frame. And that would explain why the frame is so tall compared to this blade. It makes the blade look a bit small. But he was very clearly going for that completely hidden blade look. And that's terrific. It works great. The jimping on the spine is really well done. I would have moved it up to right here. But if you're back here on the blade, it's going to feel really good. It's got a nice bite to it. I just would have extended it another inch and a half. This finger choil is good. This finger choil is good. You can lock into either one. And the spacing he's got here, normally what I would tell somebody is that choil, you could have a lot more cutting edge if you just brought the choil back and brought the choil into your frame. However, the spacing that he's done here allows you to drop this finger in here and this finger in here very, very easily. And I think that was his entire goal for where those choils are placed. Because he not only did the hand sketches of this, he said he even crafted one out of clay so that he could get that feel in his hand without obviously having a prototype in his hand. And that's pretty damn smart. Let's give you some size comparisons here. Up against the Jaeger M. I'm going to bring this down here, actually. Considerably larger than the incredible Jaeger M. Up against the EMP EDC Nimble X. I think this is going to be almost identical in size. Oh, yeah. If you have a Nimble X and you love that length and that size and the height of the blade, this is almost completely identical. You're just going to have that taller, blockier frame instead of that more ergonomic frame. And up against my precious, precious Terrain 365. Again, nearly identical in its overall length. So if you're in that vein of 3.5-inch EDC knives, this is going to work out really well for you. It's going to be very comparable in its length, in the way that it carries. It's going to be a bit bulkier in the pocket because of the width of the frame. But again, as I mentioned, that's done very clearly to hide the entire blade. Another thing that I like that he chose to do that a lot of first-time designers wouldn't even think of is having the lock bar relief cutout done on the inside of the frame so that you have this nice, clean, uninterrupted look to the lock bar on the exterior. Doesn't change the performance, doesn't make it better or worse, it's just an aesthetical choice. I think it looks great. All the hardware is T8 and accessed from the lock side only. Everything is smooth on this side. The thumb stud placement is perfect. Very easy to access to flick it out. You can slow roll it. I've seen him reverse flick it. I can't quite do it because I would need more room to access the back side of that. But I've seen him do it on his channel, so it's obviously something that can be done. And that action is great. Let's take a look at the detent. Well, that really sucks it in nice, doesn't it? Really, really good detent. So as I said, if you're looking for something completely different that has definite hints of homages to some other designs kind of melded together into this design, and you're looking for a workhorse of a knife, I think that you're really, really going to enjoy this. Is it an EDC? No, for a lot of people it's not going to be. It's going to be a little bit too blocky and too heavy. But there are a lot of people that do appreciate carrying heavy knives. If you know you're one of those people, this will be a good EDC for you, because I think with that blade shape, you're going to have a lot of different ways of using it. It's going to serve you well. So that's my thoughts on it. You guys chime in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And if you want to see more videos like this, more videos of knives that are typically outside of my personal taste, outside of my wheelhouse, but I can always find redeeming qualities about a good design, even if it's not particularly my taste or style. Like if this was the absolute perfect knife, but it was all micarta, I despise micarta. I would typically never review it. But again, I recognize the importance of it for many other people, that other people enjoy it. So I'm not, completely blinded on that. But if you want to see me do more stuff where I'm looking into knives that may not particularly be my style, but I still think are high quality, hey, I'm happy to reach out and try different stuff, man. Expand my horizons. I'm totally cool with that, man. And this is one of those knives that I'm really glad I had the chance to check out. And I'm going to be kind of a little bit sad, I think, when I box it up tomorrow and ship it back to him, because it is pretty darn cool. I don't know that it's something I would carry a lot, but I think the times that I was in the mood to carry it, I would enjoy the shit out of it. I like that action. I like how solid it feels in the hand. I like the grinds. And I think it's going to be a really good cutter. Being Magna Cut, you got a great steel. So, yeah, maybe I'll be in line with a few of you to order one anyway, just for shits and giggles. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. Thank you all for joining me as always, and I'll see you on the next video.